Hey everyone, it is Caslo, and we are back looking at the role quests in Endwalker. I have done all 5, did all the leveling I needed to make sure I could do that. And I wanted to look at kind of where each one of them ranks as we lead up to the 0.1 patch, where we get that post-role quest storyline that you only get if you've completed all the role quests. So let's get started with the worst. And this is really a disappointment for me because it was the first one I did, and that is magical DPS. There's some stuff in here that's really cool that like you think would really hook you. The church is trying to basically resummon Thornton, which results in the creation of the blasphemy that you're trying to take down, which obviously is in the form of a dragon because it's Ishgard. The story is just really bland and boring. And it's largely Ishgard trying to make peace with the church, find some sort of role for the church in modern Ishgard after the Dragon Song War. And it fails to like really hook you the entire time. And so because it's just kind of that boring, I have to put it at 5, even though it had a lot of cool stuff that could have gone somewhere. Alright, moving on to number 4. I'm going to give this to the tank role. I would say it's kind of close to the number 3 one that I'll talk about in a moment. But for me, it was just okay. It revolves around Kane Senna and the others in Gridania that can grow the horns. I think they're called the Pedagel. I don't know. I forget the name of those. And I need to go back and relearn some of the Conjurer lore. Because this story did interest me in that. But it revolves around Kane Senna and a friend of hers that she was studying with early on. He ended up losing his horns and went on to lead another life. That ended up resulting in him becoming the new blasphemy. It's a little bit of spoiler, but it's not that big of an issue in this one. But that's the take role quest. It was interesting for all the lore that had to do with the horn people. But other than that, not too big. There's not really a huge conflict that's being resolved like there tends to be in all the other ones. It was just okay. Number 3, this is the range DPS for me. I could see some people wanting this as like number 1 or number 2. There's some real fan favorites in this storyline. It's obviously taking place in Doma and dealing with the return of the conscripts and reincorporating them into the Doman citizenry. There's obviously some people that feel a little conflicted. Their loved ones didn't make it back while some others did. But ultimately, it's carried heavily by the characters, by Hien, and the return of Gosetsu. That just, I think, bumps that up to the number 3 spot, especially just seeing Gosetsu again. Number 2. This one will go to melee DPS, the second quest I did. Ultimately, this one's revolving around Limsa, making amends with the Shahagan, coming to terms on kind of the land dispute that they've been having. There are some factions of Shahagan that don't want to make peace and want to keep summoning Leviathan and fighting Limsa Lominsa, which ends up resulting in the creation of a blasphemy. And the story also brings the return of the Company of Heroes, who were involved in the Titan storyline in the original A Realm Reborn, as well as some stuff in 1.0, and brings in a new character that I hope we get to see more of further on in the 6.0 patch cycle. But obviously that leaves the number 1 spot for healers, which is interesting because I also thought that healers were one of the best roles in Shadowbringers as well. But this one is set in Alamigo and has to deal with kind of the conscripts, the Garlean conscripts from Alamigo returning, and namely the Skulls and Fordola, and their reincorporation into Alamigo citizenry. Obviously, they have a lot of people in Alamigo don't trust the conscripts. They had to deal underneath the threat of the Skulls for a long time, and so they don't really trust like Fordola and the others. But this role quest wins on just one fact alone, and that it's got really emotional scenes that made me tear up a couple of times. At least once. I think it was a couple. But the story of kind of like Fordola and Ehrenwald, and even Raban during this, it's just, it pulls at your heartstrings. And yeah, there's just not one that really competes with that emotional through line as the healer role quest did. But there you have it. That is where I rank the Endwalker role quests. Obviously, as I mentioned, we're going to be getting a new quest in 6.1 if you've done all 5 of these, which is why I rushed to do all these, because I really want to see what that extra storyline is. In Shadowbringers, it was really good. So I'm interested to see where we go. I have a theory it may have to deal with Ul'dah, because it's the only kind of nation that we didn't have a role quest in. And there is a delegate back in the Radiant Host in Razat Han. But we will see. Regardless, I'm going to be putting a playthrough up of that completion role quest as soon as it's out. That will go up here on the channel, so if you want to see it, be sure to click that subscribe button so it'll pop up in your feed immediately upon release. Otherwise, there's links in the description below to my Twitch channel where you can give me a follow and know anytime I go live over there, as well as links to my social media and a link to my Discord channel if you want to be part of the daily community. With that said, we will see you all next time. Take care.